Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, have a look at the UK Met Office run, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature through the rest of this week, as it is remaining fairly cool and unsettled for this working week. However, as we do head into the weekend, it is looking likely to be turning a lot hotter. Very briefly hotter, but hotter nonetheless, and perhaps thundery as well, as we do see a push of some very hot and humid air ahead of an approaching low pressure system through Friday to Sunday. We'll have a look at that and beyond on the GFS, GM, ECWF and the ensembles to see what the middle third of July does have in store, as there is still the possibility of seeing some hot air, and some of the runs, as we've seen in the last few videos, have even threatened the risk of a bit of a heat wave potentially developing, but there still is huge uncertainty between where the high pressure low pressure boundary will be, and that will decide whether we see warmer dry conditions or perhaps cooler unsettled conditions, or somewhere in the middle with more thundery outbreaks. So as I said, we'll look at that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Do look at the live radar at the moment. You can see there is plenty of showers at the moment. The heavier showers were across parts of the Midlands, but as I'm recording this, around 4:30, they are now spreading out into the North Sea. You can see very strong west to southwesterly winds, and you can see that with these thunderstorms across East Anglia here, forming up in that line along the wind direction. You can see all of these showers where they have got their heaviest areas of precipitation all lining up in a similar wind direction, and that is because that's where the wind is going, and that is where we're seeing the convection take off in that direction. So again, another very good precipitation radar show sort of highlight the wind direction we're seeing at the moment, and that is generally where all that precipitation is going. And you can see out towards the west there is very little remaining, therefore we're expecting all these showers to sort of die away and see very little through the rest of the evening. But in a few spots it was quite lively. Again, this line of showers and storms here that's now just to the north of Norwich, this did produce some lightning strikes in the East Midlands, but most of these showers very blustery, squally, moving through quite quickly, but perhaps for a few minutes here or there giving some torrential rain. Further northwards, again, a few showers around, once again, some of them quite heavy, but once again blustery, moving through quite quickly. And then across Scotland we've got some more persistent rain, more towards the centre of the low, which is sitting out to our north. Again, giving some heavier rain in places. Now we do have a very unsettled and cool pattern at the moment. Low pressure sat out to our north, northerly wind coming in for northern areas before it wraps around the low pressure system, developing into a west-southwesterly wind towards the southern regions, and that sort of pattern we can see here. But luckily this should move away over the next couple of days, hopefully turning a little bit more settled in places, cutting off that northerly wind. But you can see it's been a pretty cold day today. Again, temperatures really not rising all too much. Again, in a few regions in the south we've seen warmish conditions, high teens, but that's still below average for the time of year. And again, these temperatures are not widespread at all, because whenever one of those showers rolls through, we see that rainfall fall in. We do see evaporative cooling in some of these heavier showers. Of course, that's very important in the winter and can decide between showers being snow, sleet or rain, but in the summer it doesn't really make an impact to any of the precipitation or anything. It just means the temperatures can drop very quickly when we do see some of these heavier showers moving through, and it just means that in general many regions across England and Wales today, which had the potential to maybe get towards the high teens or 20 degrees, stuck more around the mid-teens because of those showers. And yeah, really the British Isles and stuck in a rot here of cooler air. You see warm air is just to our south towards Paris into France. We are very close, but so close, but so far at the same time. With that northerly wind coming in, it's going to remain cool for the rest of this working week. Again, so the northerly wind gets cut off, but the air mass that is associated with that northerly wind does stick around. Now, if you go over to the UK Met Office run, this is not the UKV today, because unfortunately that hasn't updated this morning, so would have to look at the 3 PM run from yesterday, but that doesn't include the weekend, which I'm very interested in having a look at. So going to the UK Met Office run here, this is a more global run. This is a look at the UK perspective of the global chart. So it is low resolution, but still has all the data we need. Goes out to 7 days instead of 5 days. And yeah, it's built from the same computer model as the UKV, so it has broadly very similar data, just as I said, at a lower resolution. So it'll still be very useful to look at the next 5 days or so, but we'll actually be able to have a look at the weekend as well with this, but just not in quite as much detail because, said, of the resolution of this run. So you can see today all those showers spreading in, that heavier batch of showers further southwards that did spread in through this afternoon. You can see the heavier spells there across parts of the Midlands, again indicative of where we saw the heaviest showers earlier this afternoon, but now all spreading out into the North Sea. Through this evening, not as many showers expected through England and Wales, but still some persistent rain across parts of Scotland through the evening into tomorrow morning. As we head towards tomorrow afternoon, into tomorrow, sorry. First of all, in the morning, there could be a bit of precipitation in the far southeast. Could be heavy early in the morning, but by the afternoon, things do dry up, and again, showers around. Again, difficult to say exactly where they'll be. Again, issue being a slightly lower resolution, but still plenty of showers around in the north and the west. Not as many as today, though. As we head into Wednesday, again, more showers into the western regions. Again, could spread eastwards at times, mostly, though, light showers with heavier showers across parts of western Scotland. Into Thursday, could be seeing some heavier rain move in, but this is this approaching weather front, dividing the low pressure to our west and the hot air that starts to get drawn up to our east. So this weather front's not going to make much progress eastwards, it's just going to move northwards, giving heavy rain in places and sort of recur in terms of giving rain further westwards. But eventually to Saturday, we're in the hot air, low pressure is nudging in, and we start to see big thunderstorm outbreaks in the east. And you can see these darker blues and brighter greens, yellows, and even some indications of orange and reds, indicating some very torrential rain breaking out there through the afternoon into the evening, as we do see that very hot conditions move in very temporarily. Again, if we look at the 2 metre temperatures here, you can see the temperatures this afternoon really peaking, maybe 18 or 19 at best, but again, locally those sort of temperatures, many regions stuck around the mid-teens. Into tomorrow, we expect those temperatures once again to rise to the mid-high teens widely, could be 20 or 21 degrees in the London area, East Midlands, East Anglia, where we do avoid the showers, or as many showers as we saw today. Into Wednesday, again, those temperatures, again, high teens, maybe 20 degrees, and then finally into Thursday, nudging slightly higher, maybe 19 to 21, but still average to below average in most regions. But Friday, things start to improve widely, low to mid-20s, or even getting towards 26 or 27 degrees. So again, really picking up through Friday. And then if we have a look at Saturday, look at that, 31 degrees across East Midlands. So going from sort of 19, 20 degrees to 31 degrees in the space of 48 hours. So a massive climb up in those temperatures. Huge influx of warm, hot, humid air in from the south. But of course, triggering some big thunderstorms that afternoon as well. But as I said, it's very short-lived. We move into Sunday afternoon. Again, we can't look over the 3 p.m. temperatures because it is getting that far out. And the UK Met Office run here only works in 6-hour intervals, so midday and 6 p.m. You can see here, Sunday afternoon much likely to be much cooler. Only 20 to 22 degrees at midday, so maybe peaking at 24 or 25. So a much cooler spell here onto Sunday. So a real big peak on Saturday with those upper air temperatures and surface temperatures coming with a very big thundery breakdown through the evening as well. So yeah, very short, sharp, hot, thundery spell could be incoming through Friday through to Sunday. Again, temperatures really climbing on Saturday and the highest thunderstorm activity on Saturday, but we'd probably class it as a sort of Friday to Sunday event here. But yeah, very interesting seeing that. We do often see these very short, sharp spells, and once again it's looking likely to see another one of these as we head towards this weekend. Could be quite a shock to the system as those temperatures do go very high before plunging once again in a matter of hours. Now, if you look at the GFS, we'll be able to see why this does happen on the overall pressure pattern level. Again, you can see the northerly winds in Scotland at the moment, turning more to westerly winds further southwards, and it's just inviting cold air in from the Arctic. Again, being this time of year, we're not going to see anything that cold, simply because it is summer, but it's going to remain chilly, below average definitely for the time of year. Towards the end of the week, we see low pressure build out of the Atlantic and sort of spiral out of the Atlantic, and it draws up the southerly wind, and this draws up some very warm, hot air temporarily. through Saturday, but also low pressure moving in from the west will mean thunderstorms will occur. Beyond that though, eventually the low pressure system pushes its weather fronts through, so even though the pattern doesn't change all too much, by Monday time most regions starting to get into the cooler air, and definitely by Tuesday all regions in cooler air. Again, it's not cold, nothing as cold as it is at the moment, but more towards average, maybe slightly below average. There is still the possibility though, as we head through the middle 3rd of July, of seeing more recurring patterns of these lows out of the Atlantic, drawing up southerly winds, but this latest stage, the GFS not really looking at that too much, keeping more of a westerly flow, just a basic westerly flow, average temperatures, with low pressure likely in the north, so unsettled in the north, probably drier in the south. Again, if we do run back to this weekend, we'll be able to see those low pressure systems really quite strong. And again, if we look at the Cape through into Saturday afternoon, we'll be able to see that it is pretty substantial. Again, mainly in eastern regions, some higher levels of Cape, and again across parts of Europe. We'll have to really keep an eye on how that does develop. It's really changing very quickly between runs, but definitely an increase in Cape this weekend before it does reduce once again as we do go into more of a westerly flow. All that hot, humid air moving back towards southern Europe. If you look at the GM now, again, cold at the moment with this unsettled pattern. Low pressures gather out into the Atlantic and do draw up that southerly wind for the weekend. Very hot air in for Saturday, for moving away through Sunday into Monday into a westerly flow. GM though, only yesterday and the day before, we're showing heatwave patterns. Now really backing away from that with that high pressure split to our east and our west. Low pressure for us drawing up a northerly wind. You can see the blues showing that it's colder than average over the UK. So big difference from the GM there. So still going hot for a couple of days, but not showing that longevity that it did have on sort of Friday through to Sunday. If we do look at the ECMWF here, again unsettled at the moment, remaining low pressure dominated. As we head towards the weekend, again low pressure out to our west, drawing up that southerly wind. Quite a big warm sector here, even bigger than the other runs, before it eventually does get cleared away through Sunday evening. This could mean Sunday's a slightly warmer day in the east here. If we actually look at those 2 metre temperatures, yeah, it does look likely in the east we could get the mid to high 20s once again through Sunday. But other than that, still getting shoved away. Perhaps one more afternoon of something a bit warmer before we go into more of a westerly flow. And actually, again, very similar to the other runs, low pressure nearby, and generally an average to below average spell of conditions. Yes, GFS was probably the best out of these runs in the long term, developing a westerly flow, which was average sort of air mass, for the GM and the ECMWF indicating below average temperatures returning. So it is really quite a bizarre next sort of week to 10 days or so. We can see this on the ensembles, cooler than average over the next few days. Friday through to Sunday, big spike in upper air temperatures before dropping back towards average beyond that. And you saw some of those operational runs were well below average with that as well. Again, precipitation indicating that low pressure will be nearby. No massive spikes at the moment, so we're not expecting huge weather systems to move in, more just shower activity. Again, you need to keep on these rainfall spikes for the weekend, as this is the convective activity, thunderstorm risk into Saturday that we do need to keep a close eye on. But generally in the longer term, all cards are on the table. There are definitely some runs going for some warmer, hotter, sustained conditions, others going for cooler conditions returning. 2 metre temperatures, spike this weekend, you see Saturday, Sunday, mid to high 20s, again will be all dependent on shower activity and exact air masses, which will be deciphered nearer the time before dropping back down to the low 20s. The conditions after this weekend definitely don't look as cool as now, where temperatures are widely mid to high teens, but they're still probably average to below average. Big difference to what we saw through June, especially the start of June as well, which was very warm through the first of 20 odd days or so. If you do look at the ECMWF just to compare, again, just showing you the GFS is not being an outlier here. The ECMWF is on board as well. Cool over the next 5 days. Hotter spike for maybe 48 hours or so. Maybe climbing to as high as 15 degrees at 850 HPA, and some runs sustaining that for a few days longer, but majority bringing us back down towards average by next Monday, and then keeping us average, maybe below average, for the foreseeable future. Again, there are some very warm runs, hot runs appearing in the longer term, but again, you'd expect that with this many ensemble members. Precipitation is fairly high as well, probably quite a lot higher than the GFS. Yes, there's more ensemble members here, so we'd expect more precipitation spikes, but the size of these spikes is bigger as well, so ECMWF perhaps suggesting even more of an unsettled pattern as well. There are some drier spells like Friday, Saturday time before the thunderstorms roll in Saturday evening, but regardless, it still doesn't look likely to be anything majorly dry for the foreseeable future. So things are looking very interesting over the next week or so. Much different to what we saw in June. We're seeing the cooler, more unsettled conditions sustain now, whereas June had the drier, hotter conditions sustaining. So a bit of a big role reversal, and we are seeing a temporary hot spell through this weekend with the risk of some big thunderstorms, but at this stage not looking likely to last more than 2 or 3 days. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, make sure you stay tuned, as there could be some warnings issued for the weekend. Of course, regardless if we see warnings issued, it's looking likely to be quite hot very quickly and temporarily, but regardless of that, could still cause some issues. So make sure you stay tuned, as we'll update that once again tomorrow and the following days this week. So as I said, thanks for watching, hope you have enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.